All right, what's up, everybody? Happy New Year. I think it's Happy New Year still. Can we still say Happy New Year?
As long as
Um,
it's January, I say go with it.
Somebody needs to give me the rule book for that because, as far as I'm concerned, I'll say Happy New Year all year long if I haven't seen you all year. But anyway, Happy New Year to everybody. It is such a privilege and a blessing and an honor and an opportunity for us to be back with you. This is Callings and Careers, where we focused in on Christ-centered coaching conversations. How about all of that alliteration? Christ-centered coaching conversations. And our goal is to help you discover your calling and develop in your career. And I'm so honored today to have you all with us today. We are on multiple platforms streaming live, and some of you may be watching this on demand at some point later. But we are incredibly excited to have you tune in. And we're going to be growing this year, y'all. It's going to be growing. It's going to be engaging. It's going to be fun. We got some incredible shows and topics lined up for you. As a matter of fact, to tell y'all how focused Jessica and I are, we have the entire year done already. Woo! The whole year done already. So listen, y'all, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And I'm excited about it. Our goal, quite frankly, is to allow you as a person of faith to flourish in your career without having to turn your faith off, without having to water down your genius and your brilliance, without having to compromise your purpose. And there's a way to do that with best practices. There's a way for you to do that with understanding your industry and understanding your career, being able to look good on paper, being able to present well in person, all those kinds of things. We don't have to take a step back to be who we are. And so we want you to flourish. And that's what we'll be doing all year this year. And we'll have guests on various shows. Sometimes it'll be just Jessica and I as we've started. You can go to our YouTube page, and check us out and really just connect with the previous messages that we've had. I think we've got 8 shows that you can go back and see and check out. And we'll keep flowing from there. So, y'all, I am Christopher Harris, and I am the co-host. And this is my partner in crime. Jessica, what's up?
Happy New Year. I'm such a fan of saying it to the end of January. I'm Jessica Canty. I am your life and career strategist. Listen, I've got a passion for helping melanin millennial moms who want high achieving careers. So anytime I get to lean in and talk about a career and Christ at the same time, I am excited and I am thrilled. And Christopher said it best. This year is going to be amazing. We're thrilled to have sat down and brainstormed how to make sure that 2023 is your year. We got the plans. Go get your paper and your pen so we can help you.
I love it. And I think I've been around Jessica long enough to know that was a little humble rebuke, y'all, she just gave me. That was her way of saying to me, okay, at the end of January, don't you be coming on here saying Happy New Year. I've been around Jessica long enough to know that that's what that was. I got it, Jessica. It's all good. It's all love. Y'all, we laugh on this show. So listen, it is what it is. But I'm excited today to welcome Tracy Johnson, Miss Tracy, no Miss, I don't know, but we're welcome. We're so glad to have Tracy with us today. It's such a privilege and an honor to have her with us. And I can read this 4-page bio, but I'm gonna let her come and share a little bit about herself and a little bit about her passion and the work that she's done and been doing. By the way, Tracy, happy anniversary. You all just had an anniversary. The Deltas. So happy anniversary to you all. I know that just happened a few days ago.
That's right, 110 years of service. So I am happy to have had the opportunity to celebrate and continuously do the service. So thank you.
You're welcome. Miss Tracy, take a moment really fast and just introduce yourself to everybody and tell everybody who you are really quickly.
Okay, I am intentional. I am fearless, and I am purposeful. I had to decide on 3 words that was going to guide who I was or who I am and how I want to show up. So that is who I am. And along with that, I am a clinical licensed social worker. I currently work in the role of a health and wellness coordinator. I am also a trainer, and I also do life coaching. So just having those different areas really align with what I feel like my purpose is. And my purpose is to really help people move from where they are to where they desire to be. I want to be with them on that journey. I say the guided journey, but I'm not the one guiding the journey. That journey was already written. I'm just going with them, helping them through the bumps and the curves of that journey to get them where God really has them to be. And so I'm just excited about being here. I had a chance to watch some of the YouTubes to get my laugh on, but also get a lot of knowledge. So I'm just happy to be here and share some time with you all.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for introducing yourself that way. Just for people to really understand the magnitude of it really fast, just really quickly, break down for everybody what it means to be a licensed clinical social worker. Because that sounds like a lot, and I know that you've earned your stripes with that, but just really fast, tell everybody what that means.
Okay, first of all, just to be a social worker is a lot. So we have to have that 4 years to become a social worker. And then once we become a social worker, it depends on which jurisdiction you're in, you will have to have a license. So even after we graduate from college, we have to get a license to practice in the field of social work. And then to advance our career, we, of course, get a master's. And once you get a master's, you can make the determination if you want to go in more a macro or micro field. And with the macro field, you work on more policy and planning. With the micro field, you work more in line with individuals and their development and their growth, more direct work with our community. And so to get that clinical license, guess what you have to do? You have to take another test. But in taking that test, it opens up a magnitude of opportunities for you. So as a clinical licensed social worker, I have an opportunity if I study and I even become more knowledgeable in, let's say, more of the mental health component. It even allows me to help individuals in that field. It allows me to supervise other individuals who desire to come into the field. So it just opens a lot of doors, gives you a few more letters behind your name, but you're still doing the work. Social worker.
I love it.
And I just have to follow up really quickly. I think it's important to note that Tracy said in her introduction, she's a life coach and a clinical social worker. And it seems like everybody wants to be a life coach now. And there's a lot of controversy around people doing pop-up shops. So check the credentials. Tracy just told you she's got the credentials. She paid the time and the money and the resources. So if you are looking for someone to support you outside of our conversations, of course, you want to grab a paper, a pen, and a pal to make sure that you're gathering everything we're talking about. But you want to check the credentials. Like Tracy said, do they have any letters behind their name when you are deciding on getting the support that you need?
Yeah, I love that. You're so right, Jessica. So today's conversation is centered around this topic, this idea of God and goal setting. God and goal setting. And I love in your bio, Ms. Tracy, one of the things that I read, and I highlighted this, you said, I want you to find your voice, and I'm here to guide and to listen. I want you to find your voice. Excuse me, and I'm here to guide and to listen. There seems to be a lot of controversy for whatever reason around being a believer, a Christian, and goal setting. Can they exist? Can they coexist? And they're for some people, I guess they're thinking, I'll just pray about it, or God's going to guide me, or I'm waiting on God, or, whatever that mindset is, or whatever that thought process is. So we want to take a few minutes now and just unpack at least just a foundational level of that as we talk about God and goal setting today. So wherever you want to start with that, Ms. Tracy, let's just jump into it. Is goal setting necessary? Is it healthy? As a believer, how do I do it? How do I find that balance between praying and waiting on God, and yet activating and stepping out on faith, all of those things?
Well, you can't just have the opportunity to come to such a platform and not do a little research, to do a little work, to do a little back work. I have some things in my toolkit, but, I had to do a little back work. And it's amazing that you asked that question, because even though I shared the 3 words that kind of guide how I'm trying to show up this year, everything I do, I'm like, make sure it's intentional, make sure it really has a purpose, and make sure you're fearless about this. I'm really being fearless about this moment. So I thank you all for this opportunity. But also, I have words that kind of guide the overall word that kind of moves me. And that word last year was manifest. And so I was thinking about, okay, that's one component that I can speak about, manifesting. And so, you go to the friendly Google and you say, well, what does God say about manifest? And there was one article that was written that really spoke against using the terminology manifest, because manifest being that you're willing this, or this is something you want, this is something, and I was like, but it was just laid on my spirit last year, manifest. So I got to keep reading. I said, so let me even go to the Bible, and I have my little notes right here, because I didn't know you were going to come with that question, but it kind of works with what I was looking at. And even with goal setting, I pray. I do pray. And I do believe that God hears because of my relationship with him and answers my prayers. I also believe I can speak and just put it in the atmosphere. I can also write it down and make it plain so that God is aware. So I am of a belief in my relationship is that I can set goals, but if I'm working in line with God's will for my life, they're going to come as they are meant to come. They're going to happen as they are supposed to happen. And so a time frame, we talk about SMART goals and make time frames, and it's good to make time frames. I can look in journals that I wrote years ago and be amazed that, oh my goodness, this happened. I actually, talking about the position that I'm in now, this is how God showed up for me. I was at a Delta event, an outdoor cookout, and I ran into one of my sorority sisters who used to work with me. And she was in this role of more organizational, occupational development. And I had the opportunity to sit with her when she was in the role. And when I saw her about 2 years ago, I said, I really want to do the work that you're doing. I said, I really want to do that work. And so time just passed. In general, I wrote down a job description. I wrote my job description of what I wanted to do. And I did not have any shame in my game anytime I had the opportunity to share with people the work that I felt I was purposeful at this organization to do. I had no problem sharing that information. I had an opportunity to interview for the position I'm in as the health and wellness program coordinator for the agency, and I was very fortunate to get that position. I always tell people, like, at that 6 months mark, my 6-month mark was in November. That tear is going to come down your eye. And that tear is going to be like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this, And I was feeling that way one day. And I walked over to my colleague, and, she was like, oh, you're doing a great job in the role. You're doing a great job in the role, but you need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. Because remember, when that person used to work here a while ago, these were all the things that we talked about that she needed to do. It was right then that I realized, look at God in this. The person that my coworker was talking about was the same one that I saw 2 years ago at the event, who I shared, this is the work that I wanted to do. I know God is in the work of everything, but it was like the light bulb went off and said, see, you asked this a while ago. You shared that this is what, now you are sitting doing exactly what that person came to this agency to do. It might be worded a little different because of the job title that they switched it to, but I can make it what I desire it to be. So,
Wow.
I mean, that
Wow.
was like, I mean, when you talk about the testimony, I had to share that testimony over and over and over again. You just don't know when you speak something out your mouth, how, that's why I write it down. I write it down so I can go back and look and see, you see how God blessed you with all this? This happened, this happened, this happened. It was in line with his will for the purpose of your life to serve.
Yeah, that's so good.
I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does. It also gives us, I think, some very practical things that I want to pull out, and then I'm gonna toss this over to Jessica. So a couple things, I think, because you threw a lot at us just then in a good way. I do think that there needs to be some more teaching for believers around this notion of manifesting. I think that there is so much wayward teaching out there about it. I think that there is also some imbalance with it, because there are some people who are not seeking God. They want God's blessings. And so I'm just going to manifest it. And I don't know that that's how it works.
Right.
I think that there has to be some submission, and there has to be some obedience, and there has to be some development, and there has to be some, skills attainment. I think all of those things have to go along with the process. So I don't want to get off too far in that, but I think you're right. I think the word manifest is a biblical word, but it has been hijacked from the faith.
Right.
And folks are using it for all kinds of intents and purposes that don't always include seeking out God's will. Because I heard somebody say one time they're gonna manifest and get this guy to marry them, but it was somebody else's husband. No, you can't manifest that. That's somebody else's husband. So anyway, we'll come back. We'll talk about that. We'll do another live on that some other time. But I think something very practical you said, Ms. Tracy, that I think is powerful, really, really powerful. And Jessica may be able to come and dovetail this from a career development perspective. But that notion of writing down your job description, even for some of the clients that I've had the privilege to coach, I've said to them at points, yes, write down your job description. Now, don't put the title of the job down, because that'll cause you to limit or miss what may be happening. But write down, in a perfect world, what will you be doing? Even for me, several years ago, I wrote down the job description of an executive pastor before the term executive pastor was even a popular term or an accepted term. And here I am today doing the thing that I desired to do, but there were steps along the way. And I think that's part of what I'm saying too, back to the point of the manifesto. There are steps along the way, because you can't get to the big thing until you are faithful with the current thing. And some people try to skip those steps. But anyway, so I think that's powerful. For those of you that are listening, that's a very practical step. Write down the goal, write down the big vision, write down the step. Jessica, go ahead.
I most definitely believe that goal writing and goal setting is a prayer and a commitment. So if you're manifesting someone else's husband, I don't know how you can pray and commit that to the Lord. That's a whole other conversation. So I do think the goal setting is a prayer and a commitment. And from the career perspective, I often encourage my clients to write down what they determine in terms of their salary. Look at your current lifestyle and see what you need to maintain that lifestyle money wise. However, that first step of determining what your skill sets are best at, I think is important as well. So I'm such a fan of writing down that job description, posting it somewhere so that you're not continually choosing jobs that are not in alignment with that. A lot of my clients keep getting frustrated about choosing careers and choosing jobs that here I am again, I don't like this job. And I think what Tracy said and what you said is definitely a stellar career move. Write it down and don't do anything other than that, meaning don't do anything outside of it. You know that that's what you're called to do. Stick with it if you want joy in your career.
That's so good. That's so good. So Miss Tracy, based on some of the things that you're seeing today as a social worker, as a life coach, helping people and navigating life, what wisdom, practical steps would you tell people when they're overwhelmed? They're trying to figure out, okay, where do I even start in this conversation? You just talked about writing stuff down, but how do I prepare myself or get myself to a place where I can stop, where I can get unstuck and start moving forward?
Excellent, excellent. One thing I would advise people to do is take the time to take advantage of all the opportunities, just like this one, having the opportunity to really listen. I sat in a session last week, and you might not be able to utilize everything, or you might not even recall everything, but there are going to be some things that's going to stick to you. And one thing that really stuck to me is, let's say this, it is already the middle of January. And so you might have said, I need to do this. I want to do that. One of the biggest things I have is procrastination. And remember, I said one of my 3 words is fearless. And so procrastination is, for me, part of that fear process. That's part of me leaning into fear rather than moving into faith. And so one thing I would highly suggest that individuals who are really focusing on their goal setting is stop procrastinating. It's easy to say. It's not always easy to do. And one thing I learned and I took away from that is the 10-minute rule. And so when it comes to, I'm just going to talk about practical life right now, and then I'll give a career example. When it comes to something like I'm going through a fast. I'm participating in a fast. It's a faith fast, a focus fast, and a fitness fast. The fitness is the part that has me stuck. You're talking about being stuck. The fitness has me stuck. I'm on a squat challenge. Like the other day, I had to do 60 squats, 55 crunches, and 45 sit ups. And every day there's a different one. And I don't feel like doing any of it. But with the 10-minute rule, it's like, get past, oh, I don't feel like doing this. Oh, I don't have the energy to do it. Just say, Tracy, just do 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Because you're tricking your mind. That's one thing you're doing. You're tricking your mind. Just do 10 minutes. So I'll get up there and I'll do that, for 10 minutes. I've got at least the crunches out. I might have got halfway through the sit-ups. And I'm like, look, I'm already down here on the floor. I might as well continue with the sit-ups, continue with the squats, just get it done. It's the hardest part is just getting started. But when you utilize that 10-minute plan and you just get the ball rolling, you can do it. Also, let's say if you're a runner, like, okay, I got to get my walk in, I got to get my run in. I'm going to try to get 3 miles in today. I'm going to run for 10 minutes. You give yourself some grace. Once you get out there and running, your body warms up, you'll be like, okay, let me just keep on going. And now let's move to our career. Oh my goodness. I need to do this resume. Oh my goodness. Now, some people, like Jessica Canty, oh my goodness, she'll just wave that magic wand and be like, oh, is this really me? Yes, Tracy, this is who you are. Based on the information you share with me, I'm like, look ahead. But for me to even prepare for that consultation with Jessica, I'm like, oh boy. But just say, I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm just going to bullet out a few things. I'm going to set my timer, bullet for 10 minutes. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have done a lot of things. I forgot about this. Oh, I remember when I got that award. It'll just trick your mind to just go ahead and get started. So the first thing I would say is move past the procrastination and just step in there and start with your goal setting. Just set the goal, give yourself a start. The momentum will pick up and you will keep moving. So that was one of the tips. Now, the other tip is also there's a 5-minute plan and a 2-minute plan. So since I'm just telling you these things, hopefully you utilize them. So the 2-minute plan can be used in different ways. Okay, I want to start a new job and I need to be prepared for this job. Oh my goodness, look how thick this book is. No, I don't feel like it. Just pick up the book. I'm just going to open up the first page. And once you start reading, you'll end up just moving through it. Another thing is with the procrastination, because procrastination is real in my life. 2 minutes, if it takes me 2 minutes to tidy up my desk space so that I can get my mind right, so I can open to be creative, then let me just take the 2 minutes. If I can do it in 2 minutes, go ahead and get it done. So when I tell you that's been life-changing for me, dishes not in the sink, hey, it's only 7 dishes. Go ahead and knock them out in 2 minutes. I got to get those crunches in. I got to get that run on the treadmill. 10 minutes, knock it out. Next thing I know, it's 45. So really focusing on procrastination and really give yourself honest thought. How is procrastination impacting me with setting goals and getting me to where I want to be? I'm also reading a book by Dr. Tamar Bryant, Homecoming. And one of the things she's asked, are you standing on your own wings? When I say that is a powerful statement, are you standing on your own wings? Sometimes we get in our own way, but really, I hope just thinking about moving from procrastination, you will take 2 steps and those wings will just take you where you need to go.
I love it. I love it. The book, y'all, that she just referenced, Dr. Tamar Bryant, Ina King, Homecoming, Overcoming Fear and Trauma to Reclaim Your Whole Authentic Self. Very, very powerful title there. I've not had the privilege to read that book yet, but Ms. Tracy is recommending it. I think there's another book that I think is very, very powerful to what you just described that I read a couple years back. It's called Atomic Habits. James Clear has a book called Atomic Habits. And even to your point about sometimes you're not going to feel like doing it, right? But what is the win? What is the end game? Why did you start it in the first place? And oftentimes it is that why that has to keep you motivated and encouraged to keep going. And most times you're not going to feel like working out and doing those things you need to do or getting up early and things of that nature. But those things keep you motivated. They keep you calibrated. So I want you to answer this one more question, and then I'm going to toss over to Jessica. I know she's got some questions for you as well. Let's unpack a little bit more very, very briefly that idea around our feelings and the role that our feelings play, because I think a lot of times people are waiting to feel motivated or they're waiting to feel inspired. And you know, how do we let that play into whether or not we actually get some momentum going, or whether or not we make the right decisions or move in the right direction?
You really have to turn within. You really need to kind of tap within, because we are our worst critics. You know, we literally, just with that quote, standing on our own wings, no one put their foot on our wings. We put our feet on our own wings. And when you think about just moving through a field, that internal component of feel that might be based, and I'll go right back onto fear. I will also think about the words that the outside has said to you. And sometimes you get blocked with those intrusive thoughts. I mean, we talk about shifting, and when I talk about feel, and I know you can feel just as good, you can feel just as motivated, you can feel inspired, you can feel all those things. And if you're feeling those things, great. You're ready to move forward to whatever you need to do. But it's some of us who are feeling anxious. Some of us are feeling that we're not qualified. Some of us are feeling that nobody thinks that we're really, nobody thinks highly enough of me to even move in the direction and what I'm trying to do. So I would really say to shift your mindset. And it's hard to do that by yourself. Sometimes it really takes having a conversation with someone else, like a coach, because a coach can hear the words that you're saying, that they're just coming out of your mouth. An example of that is like, I really try to do as much as I can, in my work environment. I try to show up. I try to meet deadlines, but it's just as if I'm not giving my all. I'm not doing, I'm not working up to the expectation. I'm not, things are just not working out for me. You can get caught up in those words, but somebody listening might be able to say, have you given yourself some understanding? Have you given yourself some grace to say that you are? Remember the three things you started off telling me, the things that you're trying to do. These are the things that you're doing. So if you have someone that is there, don't be afraid. Do not be afraid to be in an environment where you can place yourself with someone that can listen, not emotionally. Those people that there's some love and attention and all that coming from, but someone that can sit with you and actually listen to you and hear you talk through your weaknesses, because they can hear even the strength in all of those words. Those other words are assumptions, perceptions that people have of themselves based on their own experiences. So when it comes to those feelings, sometimes you really have to work through, you have to get through being unstuck with those intrusive thoughts that are generally negative, and switch those to positive self-talk. And you can't always hear it yourself. You have to find someone to kind of support you in that process.
That's so good. So good. I just read this book at the end of last year titled Soundtracks by John Acuff. And it speaks to that conversation with yourself that you just referenced, Ms. Trace. That's good. All right, Jessica.
So, of course, I love the 10-minute rule. I'm a fan of that in terms of your career. I think that a lot of people need to sit down in 10 minutes of their day, talk about what they did for the day. So I'm a fan of journaling. If you are a fan of making more money, getting a promotion, getting a raise, transitioning in your career, please take what Tracy said seriously, that 10 minutes, just writing down 10 minutes a day, what you've done for the day. That makes it easier. It lowers your anxiety around updating your resume, which you should be doing at the beginning of the year. It makes it easier to negotiate that salary or promotion in your position. And also helps you to feel more confident about what you're going to be going into the next day. So, Tracy, you mentioned something about procrastination, and what's really underneath of it sounds like it's fear, it's anxiety, it's intrusive thoughts. One of the things that Christopher mentioned earlier is about the body of Christ's approach to manifestation. And sometimes the body of Christ's approach to mental health can be not as productive as it can be. So I guess my question to you is, as a Christian or as a believer, how do I know when I should be seeking out my pastor and or a life coach? Am I still Christian if I'm seeking out a life coach? When I know I'm getting stuck in that goal setting, who should I be reaching out to, and how do I know how to enlist them?
I would definitely say if you have a relationship with your minister, the pastor, that there is nothing wrong with having that conversation. Usually you have to seek out a life coach. So most of us will have that relationship, hopefully with a minister to provide that level of guidance and support. And so I know that I'm doing additional work to get me to where I want to go by stepping out and doing some self-examination to say, can I do this by myself? And when you say that, why put the additional stress and stressors of trying to figure something out when I can find someone who will sit there and provide that guidance and support to take advantage of that opportunity. So yes, I do believe if I have something that I am just trying to move forward through, I think it's good to be able to talk with my pastor. I think it's good to be able to pray over it. That's going to help me just turn that thing over to God, So that is where my relationship with my minister is going to come into play. It's going to be that remembrance, Tracy. You don't have to carry this by yourself. I can do this with my minister. If I have my minister or without, I can take this and carry it over to God. But to have someone to just provide that guidance and to even pray over me is something that I think is beneficial to help me at that point line up with someone who can coach me through the process to give me direction. One thing is that why have to stumble and go over hurdles and go through walls and try to knock down walls when you can connect with someone who can provide you that guidance and direction just through asking questions. They're not going to give you the roadmap for your life. This is what you need to do. They're just going to provide you those questions because it's all within. It's all within. So as a Christian, I think that, our faith is going to be secured in our relationship with Christ. And I definitely believe, just like with therapy, just like with counseling, that God has people in place for us so that we can utilize those gifts and services. All three of us are here because we can say, this is part of our purpose. This is in line with what God has for us. So we're not here just trying to do and put something else on our resume or, know that we're in line with God's will for our lives. So it is okay to seek out those services that we can provide to you.
That's good. Really fast, Jessica, right before you come back with the next question. We, I think it'd be healthy for us to provide some recommendations of where people can find those coaches, some safe, healthy places where people can find those coaches. And maybe we don't have that full list now, but I want to throw that out there because I recognize that some people say, hey, okay, yeah, I think I do need a coach, or I'm ready for a coach, but I don't know where to start. I don't know where to find them. Well, first of all, you got three that are right here. So that's a good place to start. You can reach out to one of the three of us. And I think, I know Jessica has a website. You can go to my website as well. Miss Tracy, you got a website?
Okay, you see that I was muted up.
Yeah.
I currently do not have a website. The coaching that I'm doing currently is referred by a inner network that I'm working with. And
Okay.
because I moved into this new career, I had to kind of shift and put more of my focus in expanding where I am. But I do a few. I do work with a few people, but no, the website might still be out there, but don't go to the website right now.
Yeah, we're gonna pray for Miss Tracy to get that website up and going.
Get that
Go ahead, Jeff.
website back up.
I do think it's important that, to Christopher's point, that if you are looking for help, know that help is available for you. You do want to be very cautious about who you are engaging with. And there are ways outside of websites, because there are a lot of people out there who are frauds with websites. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of having a website. However, like Tracy mentioned, she's a part of a network of people. So ask people, ask the question, who's helping you? And definitely we can provide that as, I guess, a part of our show notes as well, because there's a lot of websites out there like Psychology Today, or I think it's Black Girls in Therapy things. I think that's another website that you can go to as well, where there's a plethora of different people available for you. So you can read their profiles and see what work they've done. I have my own private practice, and a lot of times I will recommend my clients to other professionals as well. So if you get the call, you call someone and they say, hey, I'm full. I have a wait list for people to be able to support, ask if they have any recommendations. So we definitely could put together a list of being able to get that help as well. And so I guess I just realized what time it was. I've just been so enthralled in this conversation. So I do want to make sure I respect that this is our lunchtime conversation. Hopefully y'all can still see me because you're a little bit frozen on my side. Okay, so I guess the question about goal setting and procrastination, what should people do right now, Tracy, after they sat down and they listened to this about 45 minutes, hour-long conversation? What should they do right now, immediately after they listen to this, to make sure that they're implementing what we talked about today?
I think as you sit down and you decide you're focusing on your career goals, are you focusing on enhancing your knowledge? Are you focusing on salary? Are you focusing on advancement? Decide where or what specific areas are you focusing when it comes to your career goals. And when it's time to make the decision, I would not go too far as, three, maybe focus on three. What are three areas? And then when you're focusing on three areas, even rank them to decide which one am I able to move with maybe with a little ease, because you want to give yourself grace through the process. And then definitely we talk about SMART goals. You want to make sure that those goals, that they are measurable. Like, I can tell that I am moving, the S with the specific, be as specific as possible. Don't make it lofty. Make it specific. What is it that you desire to do? And then break it down into smaller steps so that you can celebrate some wins. Because when it comes to your career, you have to recognize that maybe if you're going into your own business, but if you're working for other people, you're not always in control of the process. So you want to make sure that these goals are in line with where you want to be, that they are aligned with what you have already started, as well as what you need to get in order to get to where you want to go. You need to also, when we talk about the SMART, we talked about the specific, we talked about the measurable, we talked about the attainable. That's the get. Are you able to get what you desire based on what you have? When we go on, make sure I'm not spelling the word wrong. SMAR. Make sure that they are realistic. They're realistic goals for where you are right now. And make sure that they are time sensitive. But don't block yourself into a time. Don't block it. Like if I don't get it by this time, it's okay. Add more time to it as long as you're working on it. So while you're setting those goals, please make sure that you don't overwhelm yourself. Like I said, start with 3, rank them on how you want to move forward, break it down into little steps, and be able to cheer yourself on with the accomplishments. And those of us who've already met our goals, why not mentor someone? Wow. Why not mentor someone? It's hard to ask someone to mentor you. A lot of people think, oh, it's easy, I'm going to ask someone to mentor. You never know what the other person has on their plate. But as someone who's been able to reach their goals, that's been able to reach some of the accomplishments, why don't you identify someone and be willing to be a mentor? So I don't want those who need a mentor to be like, oh, she said, don't ask. No, it's okay. It's excellent to even join a mentorship program if it's one that's offered. But for those of us who have been able to be in a place where we're able to say we reached some of our goals and aspirations, reach back and mentor someone into helping them with their goals and aspirations.
That's so good. That's so good. That's so good. Miss Tracy, I preached a message a couple of weeks ago, the first real Sunday in the year. I say the first real Sunday because the first Sunday was the first, and so most people were on the holiday and that kind of thing. But I preached a message, and the title, the whole premise of the message was One Next Step. And I love how you talked about not getting overwhelmed, because it's so easy in this conversation around goal setting for people to feel overwhelmed. And, once the moment you get overwhelmed, now you feel paralyzed, right? Because you're like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. I'm overwhelmed, and right? That anxiety that kicks in. And I felt like God sort of just gave me this wisdom to share with the audience and, others that can benefit from it as well, that sometimes the most holy thing that we can do, even with regards to our goal setting or reaching our purpose or reaching our plans, is to take the one next step that's in front of us. So yes, you got a big goal, but what's the one next thing I need to do that will move me towards that? So, I think that helps to dissipate some of the anxiety that sometimes people can feel around goal setting, because if I take this big lofty thing and I'm so focused on getting there that I get paralyzed by taking the one next step, I miss the whole thing altogether. And so just want to offer that. And then those that are listening in, Ms. Tracy gave you all the SMART acronym. I don't have an acronym, but I want to give you 7 categories really fast of areas of your life where you can do some goal setting that I think will be really good for people to kind of just think about this. So the first one is obviously the spiritual aspect of your life. What are your goals there? Second one is your physical health. What are your goals around your physical health? Number 3 is your mental and emotional well-being. Something as simple as, you know what? I'm going to learn a new word a week. I'm gonna learn a new word a week, right? So that's a mental goal that can stretch you beyond your comfort zone. Or maybe your emotional goal is, you know what? I'm on that. So y'all talked about the 10-second rule from an assessment standpoint. Maybe, I mean, 10-minute rule, not 10-second, but maybe the 10-minute rule is silence. Maybe you're going to find 10 minutes per day to just breathe and catch your breath, right? The fourth area is your relationships. So doing an evaluation of your relationships, whether that's family or friends or professional relationships, really thinking about that. Number 5, what kind of investment are you making in the community? What kind of investment are you making in the community? Are you a taker and a consumer, or are you a contributor and helping to make the community around you better? The 6th one is financial. So what are your financial goals? What do you have? How are you being intentional about that budget? Oh, that's a cuss word for some people. That budget. And then finally, what are your professional educational goals? And it's interesting. I'm going to stop with this, and then Jessica, I want you to come. A lot of people that I've been speaking with lately, it makes sense for them to have goals in these areas, but they don't have goals in their professional educational area. And I'm wondering why. I'm wondering what I don't know that I have an answer to that, but it's been really interesting to me over the last several months as I've been interacting with people, that people have sort of just settled professionally as though the place where they are, they're just stuck. And this is the reality of what I've got. And I can't, go nowhere else. And it's like, this is out of my control. Whereas you got goals in this area and that area. And, part of me wonders, is that because we've promoted such an entrepreneurship culture that people feel disempowered, that they're 9 to 5, you can actually still thrive in that? I don't know. I'm still thinking that through. But anyways, those are 7 categories you can kind of think about and figure out, like, what is the one next step I need to take in those different areas? And, hopefully for those of you that are listening, that's helpful. Ms. Tracy, it's been so fun getting to hear you today and being able to glean from your wisdom today. It's been so good.
I greatly appreciate that, because I had an opportunity where my coach I had an opportunity maybe to provide a little training. We didn't really reach into like the clinical, but you tapped it on the wellness with those dimensions of wellness that we need to make sure that we tap into. And I would even suggest Google the wellness wheel. If you look at that dimension, the wellness wheel, and it'll give you a visual graphic so that you can tap into those areas and rate yourself from a 1 to 10 to see where you are in those goals. And we want a smooth ride, but sometimes when we do that wheel, we'll see like, oh, it's kind of bumpy. So, I definitely like those tips that you provided. And I think if people are tapping into that wellness wheel, they'll have a visual of it so they can even see. It's a tool we use with the coaching. So, hey, put it to work.
I love it. So now thank you for introducing me to that terminology. I didn't even know anything about the terminology around wellness wheel. I was just kind of thinking through the areas of how I've helped people, but that's powerful. I'm sitting here looking at it right now, man. I did hit on all of them, didn't I? I think the only one I maybe didn't touch was environmental.
Right. Environmental. Keep that, when you think about environmental, even in the workplace, keep that area clutter free. You can do something like that.
About my dirty desk, Miss Tracy.
You got to look around at that environment. You all can only see this wall right here. Work on that environment.
I love it. Jessica, we're going to land the plane here in a little bit.
So I do think it's important that we have a conversation about who's in control of your career. And to Christopher's point, a lot of times people get stagnated in their careers because they're accustomed to someone else telling them whether or not they're doing a good job, using someone else's rubric, namely the performance evaluation that is often done on a 9 to 5. And so most times it's just about, are you doing your job description? And so if you want growth and progress, you have to think about your life outside the job description. And so I definitely think it's a great way to start on your goals. So to Tracy's point about those 3 goals, have you even looked at your performance evaluation? Some of us do it at the end of the year and we don't touch it again to the day before we have to look at it again. So if you are looking for a space to begin to think about how am I doing in my job, which is different than your career, you can definitely pull out that performance evaluation. Don't wait for your boss to say something about it. Look at it, see what needs to be done on a day-to-day basis to accomplish it, but then think about how can I do this in such a way that it's going to be a no-brainer when I ask for that promotion or that raise, or when it's time for me to transition or want to start a new project. How can I make this a no-brainer? So just to kind of tie in what Christopher and Tracy are saying is you don't want to wait until that time, even if that is the 10 minutes. Did you look at your performance evaluation for 10 minutes and say how you're doing it, or what you need to do, or what may get in the way? Because you don't want to wait until that last minute, that 6-month mark or the year mark to figure out, oh, this is why I couldn't do it. You want to, people who are proactive are those who get promotions. People who can project their success and possible hurdles are the people who get raises and who get to sit in that C-suite. People who are just doing the monotony the day to day will continue to do the monotony in the day to day. So you have to decide what type of person you want to be. Are you going to be that goal setter? Are you going to be that person who's God at the center of it? Are you going to be the person who takes it from prayer into the practical? If you are, then I know that you're in the right space listening to this podcast. Definitely go back. This is one of those episodes where you want to go back, hit pause, write that down, because Tracy gave you a wonderful charge in terms of what you should be doing. Your homework is clear. You've been given master's level wisdom around what's the next step. So I'm excited. I don't know about you all, but I got my notebook sitting next to me. I'm definitely going to hit this episode on replay.
I've been taking some notes over here. So listen, y'all, this is Callings and Careers. And we're going to be at it at least twice a month, if not more on some months. And we got some great guests lined up, some incredible topics lined up. Today's conversation was centered around God and goal setting. And I know that you all have tremendously benefited from it. I did. And I know if I did, I know that you have walked away with some things as well. Our next conversation, which is going to be really, really fun, is actually we're going to be talking about the journey of staying and leaving. The journey of staying and leaving. And how do you know when to stay? How do you know when to leave? So trust me when I tell you, you want to make sure that you subscribe on all of our platforms, connect with us, subscribe to our email list. You can find Jessica on social media at Jessica Canty. The spelling is right there on the screen. You can also connect with her on her website at jessicacanty.com. You can connect with me on social media, CJ Harris, ONE, CJ Harris 1 on all platforms. And then my name, ChristopherJHarris.com, ChristopherJHarris.com. You can go and check it out. As a matter of fact, shameless plug, maybe it's not shameless, but we just launched a brand new store on my website. So you can go to the store and get some great products, t-shirts and coffee mugs and sweatshirts and hoodies and all that kind of good stuff. And that store is going to benefit hungry children. That store is going to benefit hungry children. They just happen to be mine. Oh Lord, that was hilarious. Y'all pray for me. Y'all pray for me. Y'all pray for me. No, all jokes aside, the products are incredible though. Seriously, we've had some people already purchase. We just launched on Monday, and so all of those great things are happening. Jessica does career coaching, and her sweet spot specifically is melanin and millennial moms, and particularly single moms as well. And so we want y'all, if that's an area that you fall in, make sure you go and check her out. I just launched my coaching program, two actually that we just launched, Wisdom for Life coaching. And so you can check that out at wisdomforlife.us. And that's specifically also helping people grow as a ministry professional for those of you that are in ministry. And then also, this has been a long time dream come true for my wife and I. But we just launched our marriage coaching community to help marriages get better. And so y'all want to check that out, fulltimemarriage.com. But you can get to all of that from my website or from wisdomforlife.us. We'd love to have you plug in and connect with that. All right, Jessica, anything else before we close out today?
Listen, hit record, hit play, get yourself a pen, get yourself a paper, get yourself a powerful information. Now it's the time to do the work.
Now it's time to do the work, y'all. So we'll be right back with you in a few weeks. Callings and careers. We're helping you to discover your calling and pursue and thrive in your career. And you can do both. You don't have to pick one or the other. Miss Tracy, thank you so much for being on with us today. We look forward to maybe having you come back again at some point in the future.
Yes, thank you for this comfortable and wonderful environment to share. I greatly appreciate it.
All right, y'all. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for being with us for lunch.